I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Thank you to our distinguished witnesses for being here today. Over the last several decades, America and India have developed strong defense, economic, and technological partnerships. As we meet today to discuss the Indo-Pacific region, I look forward to hearing how the U.S. can continue to strategically partner with India. Mr. Smith, in your written testimony, you note the important partnership between the U.S. and India in countering China's influence. You stated, of all China's neighbors, India has offered the stiffest resistance to China's more aggressive foreign policy under General Secretary Xi Jinping. What steps can the U.S. take to maintain and strengthen our strategic security partnerships with India to counter China?
Yes, sir, thank you for the question. And I just want to underscore again the point I made in my written testimony, which is that India indeed has shown the stiffest resistance. It has engaged in, it has stopped Chinese coercion at their border. Unlike us, it was able to ban TikTok essentially overnight when it saw an espionage and influence operation problem with TikTok. In fact, it banned dozens of Chinese apps when they became problematic. And it has put up fierce restrictions on Chinese investments in India that could pose security risks. So I just want to underscore again that India has been much tougher than many of its other neighbors that have been bullied and coerced by China in offering some resistance. I think there are a number of things that we can do to continue to strengthen the India-U.S. partnership. I think developing the Quad, continuing to develop that, and even potentially to expand the Quad to allow for observer nations to join in Quad military exercises would be a way to broaden that coalition. There are always more things that the United States and India can do together in a bilateral way. There are several weapons platforms that could be useful to India in deterring Chinese aggression at the border and in the Indian Ocean that the United States should be prepared and willing to sell to India. And there are a number of intelligence sharing arrangements that I think we could put in place that would help India to monitor Chinese movements along the disputed border, for example, or Chinese submarines in the Indian Ocean. But I think we also need to do a firmer job supporting India diplomatically when it faces coercion from China and showing it that it has a trusted partner and friend in the United States.
Thank you. Mr. Jai Shankar, continuing on this subject, what strategic role does the Quad play in countering coercion in the Indo-Pacific?
Under the Biden administration, the Quad was resurrected under the first Trump administration, primarily as a coordination mechanism. Under the Biden administration, it became elevated to a leadership level meeting, and a number of working groups were established to work in a very large number of areas. I would say a signature achievement was the creation of an Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness Initiative. Under the Trump administration, there's been a paring down of the Quad on a few key areas, which is really maritime security, economic security, technological security, and humanitarian assistance. And these are all areas where the Quad could be doing a lot more. In fact, this year, in a small way, the Quad continued to do a lot of that work. However, a Quad leadership summit has been repeatedly postponed. India is expected to host the next one. I think breaking the impasse in U.S.-India relations would help in getting to that summit and achieving more through the Quad.
Thank you. Mr. Lalwani, you highlighted in your testimony the important role of economic partnerships between the United States and India. How can continuing to deepen America's economic ties with India counter China's economic coercion?
I think there are a number of ways. One of them would be onshoring investment, in enhancing Indian capabilities, production, manufacturing, so that it becomes less dependent on Chinese trade. I think there's previous witnesses have mentioned the stark imbalance in trade and depends on, for both of us, with China. And so that's at least certainly one way where you can sort of wean off or help India wean itself away from dependencies on Chinese imports. Probably some other ways have more to do with also technology. So, for example, Apple's making iPhones in India, scaling up that manufacturing moves the supply chains away from China, increases the supply chains in democratic countries, and is in both our mutual interests.
Thank you.